To my Black Americans, my gorgeous Black men and women in America, I just want to say you guys are so fucking resilient. It's so...
Welcome to World Moving Trend, where we give you an update on what is trending with the sole purpose of educating and enlightening our viewers. This is not to promote chaos or to promote anarchy, but this is just to enlighten our viewers and promote peace and also educate them as well too. So in this video, we're going to tell you about what is trending. Right now, the white community are beginning to realize that black folks, the black community, contributed immensely to the development of America. And this has been a lot of, there've been a lot of front and back about this, a lot of arguments. People are arguing and they're saying that America was built solely by the whites, and history has hidden it. Some history books have hidden it, and they've made it unseen. A lot of people, it's just few materials that you get to read, and then you see that indeed the black community were part of the founding members of the United States of America. We're here to give you the video. Sit back, relax. Be right back.
I want every white person in this room who would be happy to be treated as this society in general treats our citizens, our black citizens. If you, as a white person, would be happy to receive the same treatment that our black citizens do in this society, please stand. You didn't understand the directions. If you white folks want to be treated the way blacks are in this society, stand. Nobody's standing here. That says very plainly that you know what's happening. You know you don't want it for you. I want to know why you're so willing to accept it or to allow it to happen for others.
Well, God damn it. You know what I'm already sick of? It's people saying, finally some action, because those protests didn't do shit. If 8 million people showing up to protest didn't mean anything, then why did all the major news organizations make sure that you didn't see it? Because here's the thing, people. Your opponent is never going to tell you that your strategy is working. But they don't have to, because they will tell you with what they do. Because the major news networks aren't suppressing the footage of the protests for no reason. Because they don't want you to know that what you're doing is effective. They need to promote the narrative that protesting doesn't do anything, when in reality, every person who has set a warehouse fire or thrown a brick understands that they have at least 8 million marchers on their side. Don't tell me that's meaningless. It's not. It's just in their best interest that you think it's meaningless.
Man, I tell you what, nothing makes racist white people more pissed off than me, a white person, trying to educate about racism and trying to educate about what white privilege is and all these things. And it's so funny because these same people will argue with me till they are blue in the face about how they're not racist and we don't live in a racist institution and black and brown people have it so easy and racism doesn't exist anymore. But then they will turn around and say the most racist, ignorant, vile shit you've ever heard in your life. The disconnect is amazing. And this is why I make content like this, because it's so important. Because we do live in a racist institution, and we are all raised in racism as white people. This is simply a fact. And the crazy part about it is every one of us knows this. Even the ones who will sit there and fight with me to the death about it and act like it doesn't exist. Y'all know white people are racist. Y'all know about the casual racism, the casual microaggressions that we are raised in, no matter where we live in this United States of America. And this is why I will never stop. I will never stop trying to educate as a white person about racism and how we need to learn, we need to evolve, we need to do better. It's almost as if they feel like admitting to a racist institution or admitting to racism makes them this evil, terrible person. And so they would rather double down than to grow and be a good person. And that's so bad, because all that says to me is that you have a small mind and a cowardly soul. And I wish better for you than that, truly, because everything in your life will get better when you stop being so ignorant.
Minnie Lee Langley is one of the 2 or 3 survivors still alive today. Where were you, Minnie, when the white men came to Rosewood?
At home.
At home. Sisters and brothers with you?
My grandmother, me and her, and one more sister was standing out in the yard.
Right. And what, did you hear something?
None but these people came down the railroad, and they asked her, did she see anybody come through there? And she told them no.
Right. These were white men?
White men.
With guns?
Yes.
And what happened to your Aunt Sarah?
Well, they came back that afternoon and went to shooting and shot her in the window and killed her. They shot her through the head.
For no reason?
No reason.
Were you there at the time?
Yes, I was there too.
And you saw that happen?
Yes.
And you saw the white men just shoot your Aunt Sarah for no reason?
Yeah, and I seen them shot her down. They shot through the window and killed her. And she rolled over in the bed, and one of her daughters was sleeping with her. One of my cousins. She came upstairs and told us that my aunt was dead because they done killed her.
And what happened to your grandfather?
Oh, they made him dig his own grave and shot him backwards in the grave.
They made him dig his grave?
Yeah, he didn't have but one arm.
They made him dig his grave.
Dig his own
then
grave.
Then he stood there, and they shot him.
They shot him back in his grave.
And he fell back in the grave. Yeah. Were you scared?
Yes, I was.
History has never just been about what happened. It's about what's been told, and more importantly, what's been left out. For centuries, Black history has been clipped down to pain, chained to struggle, and packaged neatly between slavery and civil rights. But that's not our beginning, and it's certainly not our whole story. Most of us were taught a version of Black history that was incomplete at best. We didn't learn about Queen Zinga, Mansa Musa, or thriving communities like Black Wall Street. We missed out on the brilliance, the innovation, and the power that shaped the world. That's why Black History Unlocked created The History Books Forgot to Say We Were More Than Enslaved, a digital ebook that reclaims the truth and tells the stories you probably didn't learn in school. Click the link in our bio to get your copy today and reclaim the narrative.
To my Black Americans, my gorgeous Black men and women in America, I just want to say you guys are so fucking resilient. It's so shameful how dishonest our history books are about what happened in this country, what happened to Black Americans, how we treated people, and how this country came to be. It is so shameful. I finally am reading the 1619 Project. I've had it on my bookshelf for like a couple years, and I read a ton. And finally, I got into it, and it just... whew. The fact that when we wrote our Constitution, when white men wrote our Constitution and had the audacity to say that men are created equal, all men are created equal, while those same people writing those lines owned human beings, enslaved human beings, the hypocrisy is just fucking astounding. The way that these people are framed as heroes, despite the grotesque abuses that they committed, it is like insane and disgusting. And the fact that Black Americans, even though they were treated like there's no word. There's no word. It's not, they weren't treated like animals. They were just absolutely fucking tortured for so long. And the fact that they believed in the ideals that were written in that Constitution, despite how they were treated for so long, and that they fought for this country to live up to those ideals. This country would not be anything. This country wouldn't be fuck shit without Black Americans fighting nonstop for centuries, for generations, for equality. And we're not there. We're not even close. We're not there. Black Americans actually believe in democracy. They actually believe in equality. They actually believe in freedom. I just have to say it's remarkable. And Black Americans are so strong. It's incredible. It is incredible how strong you guys are. I'm sorry I'm crying. It's just thinking about it all is just insane to me, what generations of Black Americans have been through and what they continue to go through, and the gaslighting is just crazy. At the beginning of the 1619 Project, the author wrote that if we would only be honest about the history of this country, then we might have the opportunity to live up to the ideals that we claim are the foundation of our society. And we'll never live up to those ideals until we are honest about our history. And I just agree with that so much. I don't understand what everybody's so afraid of. Why are people so afraid to tell the truth about our history, about white supremacy, about whiteness? If this country ever wants to live up to the ideals that it claims it stands by, then we've got to tell the truth. I love my Black Americans, and I totally understand the anger and the helplessness and the frustration and just anything and everything y'all feel like. I totally understand. I don't understand from personal experience, obviously, but I understand just thinking about it, conceptualizing it, considering what you guys have been through for so long and how that would make me feel. Anyways, if anybody has any more book recommendations written by Black Americans, talking about the real honest history of America, talking about racism, talking about feminism, just honestly, fantasy books, fiction novels, anything written by Black Americans, I want to consume as much as possible. Of course, I'm going to go look stuff up on my own, and I have lots of books on my bookshelf already, but just if anything's ever, really landed with anybody watching this that they would consider like mandatory reading, please let me know, because I will jump on it immediately. Sending love.
Now, we often hear about reverse racism now.
There's no such thing as reverse racism. There's no such thing as reverse racism. You can only be a racist if you have the power to institutionalize what you're doing to people who are different from you. What we're calling reverse racism is natural reaction to being treated unfairly on the basis of somebody else's ignorance. Now, don't ever let anybody say to you or about anyone around you that people don't like that person because of the color of their skin. That isn't the reason white people don't like people of color. They don't like people of color because they don't understand about skin color. And they don't understand that we all are descendants of somebody who looked like your mother. And it's time to change the White House to the President's house. This is ridiculous, to call the place where the President of the United States lives the White House. It sends the wrong message. It says, I remember when Richard Nixon said to a group of reporters, I'm trying to save the White House for you white people. That says it all. And at that moment I thought, well, wait a minute. Now this is something that has to be changed, and it has to be changed. Nothing can stop an idea whose time has come. It's time to change the name of the White House to the President's house or the President's residence, which has a nice ring to it, don't you think? Well, I'm going to get lots of angry responses to that one. And I understand that. But I'm reading a book right now. Everybody that's watching this has to read this book on tyranny. 20 things that we've learned over the last 100 years in this country that have put us in the position we're in now and what we can do about it. Everybody has to read this book. They should read this book first, and then they should read The Myth of Race by Robert Wald Sussman. And once you've read The Myth of Race, you will never, ever again go along with the idea that there are 3 or 4 or 5 different races. It was a lie made up by the people who ran the Spanish Inquisition. And before that, there were different colors, but race had nothing to do. There was only one race, the human race. We made that whole thing up. It's time to get rid of it. We have the power to do that. This country got ready for World War II in about 6 months. And you're telling me that we can't destroy racism? White people created racism. Anything you create, you can destroy. God created human beings, the human race, and they started out black women. White people created racism. Human beings created racism. It's time to get over it.
Today, most urban sectors, especially Milwaukee, remains hyper-segregated. Why is it taking so long, or why doesn't it seem like we can move the button on diversity in neighborhoods?
Because the people who have the power in this country are the people who have the money. And the people who have the money are going to decide where people live. You need to realize that there are more children attending segregated schools in the United States today than there were previous to Brown versus Board of Education. And that's a fact. You need to realize that it is not the intent of white people to let this situation change in favor of anyone but themselves. And right now, white people are really frightened. If you don't understand the destruction of Planned Parenthood offices, and you don't understand the wall that we're going to build on the southern border of the United States, you haven't read the book The Birth Dearth by Ben Wattenberg. Ben Wattenberg was a brilliant Jewish man who was a member of the American Enterprise Institute, and he wrote a book, the first paragraph of which says, "The main problem confronting the United States today is there aren't enough white babies being born in this country." He was an advisor to presidents of the United States. He wrote the book in 1987. He says if we don't change this and change it rapidly, white people will lose their numerical majority in this country, and this will no longer be a white man's land. Now, I'm not misrepresenting this. I'm telling you almost exactly what he says. He says there are 3 things we can do to solve this. Number 1, we could pay women to have babies, as they have been doing in Western European nations for years. Then he says, and these are his words, not mine, unfortunately, we would have to pay women of all colors to have babies, so we don't want to do that. He says the second thing we could do is increase the number of legal immigrants that are allowed into this country every year. Then once again he says, unfortunately, the vast majority of those wanting to come to this country today are people of color, so we don't want to do that. The third thing he says, and women had better pay attention to this, 60% of the fetuses that are aborted every year are white. If we could keep that 60% alive, that would solve our birth dearth. Does that sound like racism to you? And if it doesn't, I want to know why it doesn't. If it doesn't, you don't understand what racism is. And I think it does.
Right. A lot of people don't understand the trauma associated with race and racism. Can you talk a little bit about the trauma associated with?
The trauma associated with it? Yeah. One of the main traumas is it tells white people that they are superior because of the lack of melanin in their skin. And then they find out suddenly that we've got a black president. That's traumatic. That's where the trauma is. Living a lie, finding out the truth, is traumatic. Finding out now, recently, that within 30 years, white people will be in the numerical minority in this country is going to be traumatic. And that's the reason we have to solve this problem, and we have to solve it now. I will ask folks tonight, how many of you black folks want to get even with all white people? And that's what white people are quite certain blacks are going to want to do, is get even with all white people. And nobody will raise their hand. And then I'll say, how many of you want to get even with 1 or 2? Every hand will go up, and you know why, and so do I. White people are scared to death right now, particularly white males. They're scared to death that they are going to lose their power in the future. And they are. But if you want to get ready for the future, if you want to be treated well in the future, treat others well in the present. What we do in the present constructs the future. What we have done in the past, we can learn from that. And we'd better learn from that. Those who forget the mistakes of the past are doomed to repeat them. And when you read this book, you'll realize that that's exactly what we're doing. We're repeating the mistakes that we have made in the past because we aren't teaching about these mistakes in the present. We are not teaching history that is true. We aren't teaching social studies that is true. We aren't even teaching true geography, for God's sake.
When we hear, when I hear people say that they're not racist and and things like that. And we talk about building racial harmony in this country. I don't think I'll see it in my lifetime. Can you predict in the near future or far future when we will ever have racial harmony
Oh
in this
yeah,
country?
in 30 years, white people will have found out that they have no choice but to get along with those who are different from themselves. I'm not willing. I'd love to wait, but I can't. At my age, I'm not going to be here in 30 years. But we could change this situation if we chose to. During the Second World War, we called the Japanese, and you'll pardon me, but this is what we called them: slant-eyed little yellow. We didn't say that about the Germans. After the war, we rebuilt Germany and Japan, and we get along beautifully with the Japanese. That was in 1945 that we finally won that war. How many years ago was that? Figure that out quickly.
I'm not a math person, but
You're not a math person, but you know it wasn't that far.
Right.
And it didn't take 50 years for us to have peace with the Japanese and the Germans, even though we dropped 2 atomic bombs on Japan. The Japanese hadn't killed 10 million people. Nowhere near that. We didn't drop any bombs on Germany, any atomic bombs on Germany. They were a different kind of people. We couldn't afford to do that. We killed how many Japanese people with 2 atomic bombs? And they forgave us. You want to talk about forgiveness? You want to talk about changing this thing? I cannot understand how Japanese people can stand the sight of any of us, and yet they do. I cannot understand why black people who have been subjected to the ugliness that they've been subjected to in this country can get up every morning and go to work among us and not be absolutely furious. And I don't understand why we allow white people to behave the way they do. I don't understand that. And my 3rd graders, after they'd gone through the exercise, couldn't understand it and wouldn't tolerate it. And when they went up to junior high and a junior high teacher used the N-word, one of my former students said, "If you're going to use that word, I'm going to go out in the hall until you stop using it, because we don't use that word in this school." That was a 7th grader who told his teacher off. When we have enough students who are willing to confront people who are making racist, sexist, ageist, homophobic statements, we're going to be better off. We have got to stop tolerating the intolerable. If it's intolerable for my black cousins, and every black person on this earth is one of my cousins, if it's intolerable for them, it's intolerable for me. I will not tolerate it. I will not tolerate it. That is not that. I am required not to tolerate that kind of treatment for the people who are related to me. And that's every person on the face of the earth. If your ignorance is such that you'll mistreat somebody because of your ignorance about the color of their skin, don't do it around me. Number one, I've been threatened with death lots of times. Now I say, go for it, fool. My husband died 4 years ago. Being with him would not be a bad thing for me. Death is not the worst thing that can happen to you. Living a worthless, useless life is much worse than dying.
Boy, I started smiling so big when I saw this woke Asian female spit nothing but heat. I just want to say thank you. She hit the nail right on the head.
For all the racist fucks that keep saying they have black fatigue, I think it's time we set the record straight. You don't have black fatigue, you have history fatigue. You're tired of being reminded that black people didn't just participate in the world, they were a huge part in shaping it. Every race and every culture has benefited from the sacrifices that black people have made. The civil rights movement didn't just open doors for black Americans, it expanded freedoms for everyone. And the shameful part is black people hardly, if ever, get the credit for it. Black people aren't just in music and sports. You guys need to get out more, okay? Black people are doctors, lawyers, pilots, judges, engineers, educators, innovators, and the list goes on. They hold up systems that people rely on daily while pretending that contribution doesn't exist. And no, this isn't pandering. This is lived experience. I grew up in an all-white neighborhood with very few black people and no other Asians. And at that time, the only culture that accepted me without question was the black culture. So when people talk about a world without black people, they expose how very little they understand about the world they already live in. Without black people, you don't get a world with less noise, you get a world with less creativity, less freedom, less culture, and less progress. If that truth exhausts you, it's not fatigue, it's discomfort with knowing how much you benefit from this world without acknowledging the source.
Happy Black History Month.
My first grade teacher, Mrs. Curran, came into the classroom and told us that John F. Kennedy, our president, that everyone was so proud of, had been killed. We couldn't believe our teacher was crying, but everybody cried that week. I was part of the first generation to have all of the news fed on TV in our living rooms. So we saw the marches under threat from police. We saw the fire hoses slamming the bodies against the walls. But there were very few Black people in our town, so I didn't see these white on Black atrocities firsthand. I was an impressionable child of about 11 when Martin Luther King was murdered. I was raised to believe that white people were the good guys, so none of this added up. Why were white people doing such bad stuff? I saw them sick attack dogs on Black people in the streets, throw them in jail, hang them from trees for God's sake, although Mom tried to protect us from that. But it was there, it was in the world, it was around us. People marched through a gauntlet of policemen with clubs. Weren't the police supposed to be there to protect people? Many years later, I became friends with Reverend Dwight Brown. He was a white Unitarian Universalist minister who marched with Dr. King at Selma. He told me about walking beside a woman whose arm had been broken the day before by the police. This brave woman insisted on marching at Selma anyway, and I'm sorry that I don't remember her name. He and another man flanked her the whole way to protect her from the police that were standing there with clubs. So there were a few good white men, but why so few? I had been fed all the right moral messages, red and yellow, black and white, Jesus, you know. It wasn't until my family moved to New Orleans at age 13 that the contradictions in what people said and what people did became really clear. I had been fed all the right moral, verbal messages, but I hadn't seen the wrongs up close. So I believed what I was told until these questions turned into gigantic red flags. Here's the message white people were told. Rich and powerful people are the real good guys. They do the heavy lifting in our culture. Now, nobody said that outright to us. They just showed us you're supposed to think the rich and powerful are cool and to fawn over them. Ordinary white people are part of the powerful team, but we don't have to do anything. We can leave that up to the rich people. All we have to do is be comfortable. And the thing that makes us most uncomfortable is how all these Black people and immigrants and indigenous people keep messing things up for us and our close personal rich people who care so much about us. We would be so much better off, we were told, so much more comfortable, if not for them. So white people vote for the interests of the rich and powerful without noticing how their real interests are actually being trashed by the rich and powerful. The civil rights movement made legal changes possible, but it also triggered deep resentment. Every step forward for Black Americans was treated as a loss by white Americans, and that resentment never went away. It always went back to the same thing. Powerful people convincing the white masses that they're on the same team and then pointing the finger of blame at Black people, at indigenous people, at women, at gay people, anyone who also had no power and could be scapegoated. That is the history and the foundation of America. Nixon used law and order to signal which side he was on. Black people were just lawbreakers. Reagan targeted Black mothers with that welfare queen myth, while at the same time convincing white folks that trickle-downonomics would help them. It never did. It can't. It cannot work. Bush flooded Black communities with those crack-era drug crackdown policies. And each generation of reframing reality added to the myth of white superiority in the minds of white people. So what I'm saying here is that white people are the ones that have been snowed through all of this. Trump said all that out loud, and millions of white people in the United States were ready to hear him. They cheered as our country crumbled under the weight of centuries of smoke and mirrors. White people deserve to be comfortable. People of color cause all our problems, and none of that is true. One share shows you care about setting the record straight. Next time, get curious. We'll talk about the Equal Rights Amendment, the Vietnam War, and how protesting itself became the enemy in the eyes of those who wanted more control. Have a good one.
I'm often asked the question, why do you care about injustices perpetuated against black people in America? And why do you speak and write about these issues so frequently? My answer is that we would all do well to care about what happens to our fellow citizens, because what happens to one impacts the lives of all of us eventually. Certainly, black people don't need me to address these issues, as there are far more competent leaders and voices within the black community that do a far better job. But I need to speak up for my own sake. I need to speak up and continue to address the residual racism that hinders my heart from the compassion and empathy that is necessary in our world. If the United States of America is my home, which it is, and I love my nation, then I know that we can all do better in understanding one another. To this end, I continue to write and speak out about these issues. Racism and discrimination are deeply ingrained issues in America, and the mistreatment of black people is a critical issue that needs to be addressed by everyone, not just black individuals or communities. It is imperative for white people to care about the mistreatment of black people in America for several reasons. First of all, recognizing the mistreatment of black people is a fundamental step towards combating racism and creating a more equitable and just society. Racism and discrimination have a profound impact on the lives of black individuals, causing them to experience numerous disadvantages, including lower economic opportunities, unequal treatment in the criminal justice system, and reduced access to quality health care. By acknowledging the existence of these disparities and the systemic factors that contribute to them, white people can help to create the conditions necessary to dismantle racism and discrimination. Addressing the mistreatment of black people is not only a moral obligation, but a civic responsibility. As citizens, it is our responsibility to work towards creating a society that is equitable, just, and inclusive. This requires recognizing and combating the systemic factors that contribute to the mistreatment of black people. By ignoring this issue, white people are not fulfilling their civic responsibilities and are perpetuating the harm that is inflicted on black individuals. As we have witnessed with the murder of George Floyd and most recently the beating death of Tyree Nichols, the mistreatment of black people impacts all members of society regardless of race. Racism and discrimination undermine the fabric of society by dividing communities and promoting mistrust and hatred. When black individuals are mistreated, it creates an environment in which fear, mistrust, and hatred can flourish, eroding the social cohesion that is necessary for a healthy and thriving society. This has an impact on everyone, regardless of race. The mistreatment of black people is an issue that has deep roots in American society. From slavery to segregation and the ongoing impact of systemic racism, the mistreatment of black people is not a new issue. By acknowledging the history of racism and discrimination in America, white people can understand the root causes of these current disparities experienced by black people and take the necessary steps to address them. This is why I speak up. Won't you join me?
Credits belong to the content creators in this video. Your works, your videos speaks much volume, and we appreciate what you're trying to do, educating the people and throwing lights in darkness and all that, so we give you your credit. So now from these videos, from what you've seen, what did you notice? What did you see? You see that a lot of white folks are coming up to defend the black. They are coming to say that we are sorry that we maltreated you. We are sorry that we treated you this way. These things were not to be seen, or better still, this information we are getting to know about are made not to be seen by the white communities. And so therefore it takes an extra effort, it takes an extra desire for you to get some of these materials so you can read them and see that indeed the black community in the United States of America are part of the founding members of the United States, and they also innovated a lot of things in America. You know that you see that a lot of times credits are given to the whites for inventions and all that, but practically and basically the people behind most of these inventions are black men and women who are doing research, who are doing a lot of things, and then they just give them little or no credit at all. And that has been it. And history, they've documented it that way so that credit will not be given to the black nation or to the black community. But right now the truth is coming out. White people are beginning to appreciate, and they are coming out to say they are sorry, that they wish they had done better. You know, the woman said that she thought white people are actually the good people. The way they were raised, the way what they were being taught, they were being taught that they were the better persons. They are the good people, and the bad people are evil. And that is not the case. The case is not like that. And that's because she's grown up now, and she's saying that indeed the white community are the ones that are evil. You know, she said that. And how would you be promoting such innovation and such rhetoric about a group of persons, and then you will think that that you are doing good, and you are bringing up your people the right way and all that. But then too, as it is right now, now that light is coming into this topic, we want to say let love lead. Let love lead. The black people are the most strongest race on earth. They are very resilient. They are they know how to stand their ground and all that. And I'm happy. I'm really, really happy that white folks are coming to understand this. Now they are coming out and saying that these people are good people. These people are kind people. These people are wonderful people. These people are peaceful people. And that is what it's about. We are happy to hear that. As a black man as well, so I'm happy to hear that finally the truth is coming out. The truth is coming out about who we are and what we are made up of. And someone said, would you like to be treated the way you've treated the black people? How would you love it if you love to be treated the way you treated the black people? Stand up. No white person stood up. Reason being that they know that they have treated the black people badly and all that. And there are a lot of inventors in time past, like Elijah Michael, who developed lubrication system for steam engines, leading to the phrase the real McCall. You get, and Henry Blair too became one of the first black inventors to receive U.S. patents for agricultural machinery. Thomas Jennings patented a dry cleaning process in 1821 and used his earnings to support abolition causes and all that. And that's what it is. So black people have been doing this even before these names were documented, and that's what it is basically. I would like to hear your thought on this topic. The white people are recognizing, yes, indeed, that you people are part of us, and let love lead. We are saying that let love lead. There's no need for hate. We all can coexist together in peace and harmony. And I'm also happy that there've been quite a lot of, you know, crisscross marriage going on between white and black and all that. And let love lives. Thank you for staying tuned. Please watch out for our next video. See you then. Bye.